wanna be no felon. Do I love my freedom? Hell yeah. So the worst I could do to you is to remove my SELF. I'ma miss them pretty lips and playing with those sexy melons. Jesse said I ought to take some naked pics of you and sell them. Even Ellen and your jealous friends agree I treat you fine. And you getting the meanest dick decided to make some Dixon line.
Asherah D waves, the dirty nerdy AD waves, the cancerous Aquarian, the health conscious junkie, alcoholic vegetarian, brilliant urban wordsmith, AD. Asherah D waves, that's a name given to me by a teacher of mine, Shadaha. Asherah means spirit of exulting fire. D means don't ask. I won't go into that. And waves is just something that came about just, I guess, around the way people that would record with. I think it might have started as an inside joke. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, USA. Now I reside in Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm in the mountains here. What's funny is I never even heard of Asheville until 2 days before I moved here, and it was only supposed to be temporary, but now it's home. I love the mountain scenery and the people are really cool. A lot of weirdos out here, so that's my kind of place. The lyrical content, the type of things that I write when I'm looking at this scenery is not even remotely close to the type of stuff I used to write when I was in Detroit. It's a different type of scenery, so it just inspires a different type of artistic expression. When I was in school, I was a bit of a cut-up. I didn't really take it seriously. I thought it was a big joke, but I did like history. Even as a youngster, I didn't really believe any of it. History is written by the victor, and I believe that. But I was still fascinated by the stories. They're still entertaining, even if they aren't necessarily true. Then I would do good on the test. But like I said, I didn't take it seriously, especially like around age 14, where I discovered alcohol. I started writing when I was about, I guess, 8 years old. I was inspired by like the whole LL Cool J, Bigger and Dapper. I think I was a fan of Beastie Boys. License to Ill was one of my favorite albums. But I started making beats maybe 1993. That was when I first got this little handheld music sequencer, and it didn't have any sampling capabilities, so I had to learn a little bit about notes and things like that. As far as recording, I started that in, I believe it was 96, 97. Basically, when I started making music, it was, you know, I had been into writing. I was always into hip hop was my first love. I listened to everything though. But with hip hop, it was something I felt like, oh, I could actually do that. And I can't sing. You know what I'm saying? I could actually do that. And it was, you know, it was so cool to me. So I started writing at about age 8. And I didn't start making beats until like 92 or 93. And the reason I did that is because, well, I was freestyling a lot back then, and I wanted something to freestyle to. You know, in those days, if you wanted the instrumental, sometimes you'd have to go to the store and buy the CD or the cassette single, and if it had the instrumental on it, you can do that. But then you get, you know, you've already done that. Now it's time to find another one, and you know, going back to the store and finding other people's stuff to so that I could rap to. But then it was, a lot of it wasn't the feel I was going for. I'm like, well, I'll just try to do it myself. And even then it was a hobby. It was nothing I really thought about doing, like making a living at. I started buying recording equipment, and it was for the same reason. My cousin Arnell Carmichael has a studio. Back in like 96 or 97, I went there to record a couple songs, and I was learning so much. I think I fell in love with the whole recording process. I really liked the studio atmosphere. I was a big fan of that. But I didn't want to have to pay hourly every time I wanted to record. It's like I needed to start getting my own stuff and learning how to operate the equipment. And then I would call him like all the time, and he would like give me tips and advice on recording. And I was making beats, and then I think around 95, 94, 95, I was with the River Ghost. We were freestyling in the basement. We used to do this all the time. We would all get drunk. We'd be smoking. We'd be in the basement in the cypher just freestyling for hours. And it was usually my beats. You know, everybody was, you know, I put one of my beats on. It was on a cassette. I put the beats on, and we'd be freestyling for hours. And then one day, my homie Skills, his cousin, came through, and he had a handful of cassettes. So in the middle of our freestyle session, he presses eject. He takes my tape out without saying a word. Just sit back in the chair, cool as hell. He takes my tape out. You know, I was a little offended. I was a youngster back then, you know. I was thinking like, who the hell is this guy? And so he puts the tape in, and he's playing these beats that was so fucking amazing. It's like I had never heard nothing like it, and they was hitting so hard, and like the sounds, it was incredible. But at the same time, I was like sort of offended. So I go to the guy next to me, I'm like, who is this we listening to? He didn't answer, he just feeling the beat, you know, listening to the freestyle session. So I asked somebody else, what the fuck are we listening to? And you know, nobody answered me. So finally, I just yelled, what the fuck are we listening to? And then the guy sitting in the chair, he said, oh, this is just some beats I made at home. Oh, you made these beats? And at that point, you know, it was no hatred in me or nothing like that. I mean, even then I wasn't a hater. I was just so impressed with it. Like, oh, I need to know what, you know, I had so many questions. Turns out that guy is DJ Dez. I think that was the first time I met him. So Dez was cool. I got his number and I used to call him from work. And this is back in the day. I remember putting change in the payphone so I could call him on my lunch break. And I would just ask him questions, you know. And he was cool as shit because he used to sit on the phone with me and explain to me, like, you know, we would talk about beats for a while. And I knew I had a long way to go. A couple years later, it's 97. And I was kind of in the same circle with T3 and By 10 from Slum Village. Then I was driving T3 somewhere, and I had a tape in my beats, and I'm like, yeah, listen to these beats. I heard y'all rap. You know, somebody told me that they was rap. They had a group called Slum Village. I'm like, yeah, I ain't never heard of them, but yeah, whatever. So I'm playing my beats for T3, and when we get to the destination, I think I was taking him home or something. He was like, okay, next time I see him, I have to let you hear some of my beats. And I'm like, oh, you make beats too. Long story short, one day my homie John C gets in my car and he puts in a Slum Village cassette, what would later become Fantastic Volume 1. And Dilla's beats on that project just blew me away. It's like it made me want to just go back to the drawing board and just scrap everything, every beat I'd ever made. Because it was like, that's how you use creativity. Like that, I felt like up until that point I was trying to make music the way I thought it should be made instead of doing my own thing. So like after I heard Dez, his beats, it was like, oh, I'm not there yet. Then after I heard Dilla's beats, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm like, oh, it's like I don't have my own thing. It's like my beats is sounding like I think they're supposed to sound based on what I've heard thus far.
River goes, y'all. River goes everywhere at once.
That's why it seems like I came from out of nowhere. I didn't just start making music. I've been doing this for a long time. But as far as trying to release it and get it out to the public, yeah, that right there I just started doing. And it took a lot of convincing, you know. It took me, I wasn't really interested in doing that. But then recently when I started posting, you know, I started posting stuff online, and then the response it got, you know, it was sweet, and the response was sweet. Like, okay, yeah, okay, people are feeling the music. Gullible Chick was the first song I posted online, and that's a song we recorded in 2001. When you go to my ReverbNation page, or I think it's on SoundCloud too, when you go to my social media, whatever, check out Gullible Chick. And when you listen to it, keep in mind, we recorded that in 2001, my brother and I. That's a River Ghost track. River Ghost featuring 80 Ways and the late Stick Figure. And the first and the last verse is mine, and the two middle verses is my brother's. And I think I sing the bridge or whatever. She says I never buy her flowers. All that, you know. That song is like our brotherly love song. You know what I'm saying? It was just two brothers just being silly. You know, I don't think we ever thought about, oh, people are gonna love this. We were just having fun in the studio. I remember how that came about. I was at his house and I had he was spitting one of his verses that he had written. And somewhere towards the middle of the verse there was that line, I was walking through the desert with this Gullible Chick. I said, oh shit, baby come quick. A rattlesnake done bit me on the dick. And I started laughing and I was like, you know what we should do? So we should take that line right there and make it the hook to a totally different song. But then we'll have verses that don't have anything to do with the damn hook. So if you listen to my first verse, I got two uncles that I really can't stand. That verse ain't got shit to do with Gullible Chick whatsoever. And I'll tell you, and that's exactly how that came about. We just want to do shit that's different, you know? And just somebody hit me up on Facebook the other day, was like, hey, Gullible Chick is in my top 5 hip-hop songs of all time, period. and they really feel it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. If they feeling my old shit, what are they gonna say about my new shit? Man, cause I tell you, the album I'm putting together now it's a game changer. Crow's Feet and Reading Glasses. And the way that worked out was, after a while I decided that maybe I do need to record an album, and that was just the first thing I recorded. I think I had built a studio in my basement. I was living in Inkster, Michigan at the time, and I built a studio there, and I hadn't even really used it for myself. I had been recording other people's projects, and then when after a few discussions about 80 Ways being the artist, you know, which was really hard to grasp, but after a few discussions about that, I decided I would start recording, and that was just the first thing I recorded. You know, that was just like the warm-up before you do some serious calisthenics. You know, it was just a warm-up before you go work out. And but the response I got from it was crazy. Like, I sent it to, there's a radio station where the guy from the radio station in Burbank, California, he called me and said, this is exactly what we need. This is the kind of music we've been looking for. This is what we need. Like, we want to do an interview with you, and we want to feature you, and send us the single, and yada yada. So they were really impressed by it. And I was thinking, like, I mean, that song came close to capturing what I was trying to capture, but it wasn't quite there yet, in my opinion. It was kind of silly. It was like, I'm not a great singer, but I can sing better than that. That was like the way I sing in the shower when I'm trying to imitate my grandfather, the way he used to sound when he walked around the house singing church songs with that deep, great is thy faithfulness. I was just playing around with it, and that was what the hook, that became the hook to Crow's Feet and Reading Glasses. If you listen to it, the microphone I used on the hook was not even my microphone. It's the one I keep at my desk. It was just me just messing around. And then I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave it in there. I do stuff like that just to amuse myself. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna record the hook over. I'm gonna leave it just like that. And the beat I made in 2007. And it's like, again, like I said, I like to separate myself from it. So I plan on listening to it. Sometimes I'll plan on listening to the beat later on to see if I still like it, but then I'll forget all about it. So this was a beat that I made in 2007, and I'm sure I hadn't heard it since the day I made it. So this is around maybe 2012 that I'm hearing this song, I'm hearing this beat again. I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna use this. And I made a few changes to it, and then I recorded it, what would become Crow's Feet and Reading Glasses. That was the first one I did with the intention of actually recording an album. And then I paid a guy I knew, shout out to Rich Buscemi. I paid Rich Buscemi to do that video. So after that, I said I would do my next one myself. So I got a camera, started learning the editing, and I found it to be really easy. Like, it was pretty much the same concept as multi-track recording, which I was doing for audio anyway. So it's just pretty much the same concept, except you're doing it with video files. And I'm like, oh, well, this is not as difficult as I thought. And so I started doing that. And so Crow's Feet and Reading Glasses, you know, that had happened like almost 2 years ago. By then, I was all into film. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I want to film a movie now. Oh, I want to film some more music videos. Still, I'm just, you know, I got a different job. I was making, you know, a decent amount doing that too. So still, the music is like, I guess it was like in me, my whole music career was like, in case of emergency, break glass. You know, if the times get too rough, I'll start recording again. And that's really not. So, I mean, to be honest with you, that's the result of losing the love for it. Like, I think the moment I started trying to figure out how I was going to do it as a business, that's when I lost the love for it. I still love the process of recording. But every time I have a song and it's complete now, it's like, okay, now what are you going to do? But that's like my favorite part of the creative process, is being able to put the entire production together from start to finish, just alone in my studio. That's where I get the most pleasure from. Nothing can kill an erection quicker than thinking about putting that dollar to the music. That's what kills the erection for me. That's what makes me go limp right there. So then the excitement is gone. I think the most recent one I posted was Private Affairs. It's mainly about somebody trying to, like, getting to know yourself and letting go. not judging yourself based on the person you were yesterday and the imperfections, the character flaws that you had yesterday, and being able to release it so you can grow. It was just something I wrote because it was more personal, but that's what it's about. You ever been tormented by your own internal dialogue or tortured by memories you wish you no longer recall? Yeah, it was like something that I had gone through, and so in a way it's kind of like flipping through a diary, looking at some of your old entries and just trying to appreciate how far you've come, and appreciate no longer being in that mind state, that self-destructive mind state. So that's pretty much what Private Affairs is about. The new song, the record, I'm actually working on a video for this. I'm filming it and directing it, and I'm doing all the editing. It's a song called I Wanna, and we're filming that right here in Asheville. We did the first scene at a spot called Room 9. It's like an upscale type of nightclub, really nice vibe. But the song is I Wanna, and it's basically a song I wrote about my girl and I were having a disagreement. And the timing was just poor because I wanted to fuck the shit out of her. So I thought that might be a good way to make up, So it's basically a song about makeup sex. And, it's a guy talking to his woman about what he wants to do to his woman, not just some random chick who walked by on the street. So, and I think if there's anybody that it's cool for me to fuck the shit out of, why can't I do that with my woman? So it has a real, like a crazy vibe to it. I really dig it. And a lot of people are, I'm getting a lot of good feedback about that one. I haven't even mastered it yet. The only people who have really heard it are the ones who are part of the music video and, a couple friends, but I'll get around to that. I'm actually editing some other videos, so. Like my time is split between that and working on the album and then writing for this film project. So I'm really into filmmaking too. So that record's coming soon though, and I look forward to sharing the video with you. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm in the industry now. I mean, I'm putting the album together. That's something I'm doing for the people. Like if you listen to Ask Around when I say I ain't rapping, I'm just speaking to my people, directly to my motherfucking people. That's really what it is. A lot of these songs, like a song like that would be the equivalent of a tweet. Like you might come across a post and you think it's humorous and you want to share it, or you might think it's inspirational and you want to share it. With me, it's just something, just that one tweet that I can get out to as many people as possible, so I can, connect with all my homies without having to call them individually or text them all one at a time. It's just saying, hey, what's up? I know we haven't spoken in a while. I'm still okay. They'll give me a call to tell me what they thought about the song, and then we'll go into the how's the family thing and how you guys been doing. So some of these records is like shout outs. I might throw in a couple witty lines here and there, but for the most part, a record like Ask Around is just my way of saying what up to the people. And I made it clear in the song, I ain't rapping. I'm just speaking to my people. I haven't released anything commercially. It's just those singles, they got such a good response. And before I knew it, the ReverbNation page was like, how they do the local ranking. On ReverbNation, it was like #1. I'm like, wow, I haven't put an album out yet. I just threw these songs out there with very little promotion, just having my friends share it. And I haven't really put much into it because I'm not really, I think I have a little business savvy, but when it comes to the music business, I have a problem with that because I don't really like the idea of selling this music. I don't like the idea of being in the music industry. I'd rather just, but I'd rather gain wealth any other way than selling the music. No matter how hard I try to avoid it, I'm just afraid at some point it's going to cause me to compromise my artistic integrity when you have to consider doing this as a business. And so that was always like my major hang-up, not really wanting to do it as a business. So I'm still working on that, I'm still working on, I have to do like some soul searching and some self-evaluation. I need to figure out what it is about the music business that completely turns me off.
What the fuck are they putting in the weed these days?
The music industry in 2014, I don't know, because I don't really know what's playing. I don't listen to the radio. I don't have a clue who's doing what. Every once in a while, somebody if I trust their taste in music, they'll say you should check out this band or you should listen to this artist, and I'll give it a chance. But for the most part, I don't know what's happening on the radio. I don't really care. I don't leave it up to these artists to entertain me by creating the type of art that I want to experience or making the kind of records I want to hear. Like if I want it, you know how they say if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Well, I know what moves me. I know what inspires me, and before I spend hours pouring through record after record trying to find that artist that does that for me, I'll just go into the studio and create that type of record myself. And again, if other people feel it too, then that's a bonus. I appreciate that.
Pissing on the grave of Mr. Harry Anslinger. I know the man who grows it wouldn't sprinkle nothing on it. So go and burn the bush and call him up.
2015, I'm just gonna, you know, hopefully I'll have the album done by then. It depends. I have a lot on my plate right now, but try to get the album done and start doing some promoting for it. That's the part I dread the most, the business side of the music. So I'd rather sit in the lab and just do the creating. Problem is when I do a song, I'm involved, I'm there from the beginning to the end, and at some point before the record even reaches the public, I'm already spent. No, I spent the time producing and writing and recording it, then I'm mixing it down. Sometimes that takes me 2 or 3 days just to mix it down. And you know, I might start working on the video for it. I've already heard the song 1,000 times by then. So it's time for me to move on to something else. It's old to me, like it's spent. But then my brother will call and yell at me, whatever happened to that one song? I'm like, oh, you know, I put it away. I'm not really doing anything with it. Then that's when I get cussed out by my brother. Like, it's not old to the public yet. You got to put it out. You got to put it out. And I just got to be a little less of an asshole and start, you know, considering other people. That's something that he thinks, you know, maybe it touched him in a certain way that he thinks it should be shared. So I'll stop being stingy and selfish, and I'll go ahead and put this music out, sell it. I'm putting together a project that there's a certain way I want it to sound. And some of the stuff that I previously recorded that I don't think it matches what I'm trying to accomplish sonically. So I'll put that out to the public, and those are the ones you hear. The ones that I knew for a fact they weren't gonna make the album. But I got such a good response from it. In fact, that's what led to this interview. I think Urban Vault contacted me based on what they heard on the ReverbNation page. It's getting a much better response than I ever anticipated, which is cool. I like that. But the album I'm putting together is it's a totally different sound. I mean, all my stuff's a little weird, but the sound that I want for this album is it's a certain sound I'm going for. And when I recorded those other tracks, I wasn't really on that. I was going for something else. So I'll give those away. What inspires me when I make music is, like, I spend a lot of time in meditation, and sometimes the ideas come to me. And that wasn't necessarily why I started meditating, but it just works that way sometimes. I'm trying to get inner peace, and I'm trying to get in tune with the higher self. But you know, I'll come out of meditation and I'll go right for my notebook because there's some lyrics there, or there's like a catchy jingle there. So I'll go into the lab, but you know, that's accidental, but it happens that way often. Just experimenting with sounds and emotions. I know music and we convey emotions is what we do. It's like we're peddling emotions. When you're in the studio, it's like you're taking a snapshot of your emotions at that moment and you're just handing it off. You're just sharing it. You know, some of my favorite records, they've managed to capture that perfectly. And that's what I'm trying to do too. So it depends, man. I can't even tell you I have like a specific formula that I use for when I'm creating. It's different things. Sometimes I just do it. Sometimes I'm making a record because I want to send a shout out to people. Sometimes I'm making a record because I'm just trying to challenge myself. Most of the time though, it's something that I'm doing because I want some new music to listen to. So I do it too. I record it for myself. I record it for me to listen to. Like when I'm in the lab, I'm picturing myself riding on a freeway, and something's playing in my stereo that's got my mind just where it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Something's playing on the stereo, and I'm trying to picture what is that playing on the stereo, and that's what I'm doing when I'm putting the production together. And the lyrics is when I add the lyrics to it, sometimes it's different things. Sometimes I got some shit that I feel that nobody's really said in hip hop, or they tried to but didn't really quite capture, you know, didn't really quite communicate the message as thoroughly as I would have liked. So it's like something I feel needs to be said, so I'm going to say it. And sometimes it's just me having fun with lyrics, you know. But a lot of times The lyrics is just, it's real personal shit. That's probably why 90% of the songs came about. There was something that I wanted to remember. I wanted to remind myself if I want to feel a certain way, if I'm in a certain mood or I'm in a funk that I want to get out of. You know, I can put on one of my own records and it'll work for me. I would like to collaborate with Little Dragon, and I'd like to collaborate with, I mean, I would like to collaborate with a lot of people, but I want the public to hear the collaboration I did with By 10, you know? It's like, I'm still waiting on that. We lost By 10 in 2009. I think it's a state they're going through some type of legal thing right now, and for whatever reason the album's not out, but like I think the people who love By 10 are waiting to hear it. And we actually did two together, but one of them is like, I just did the beat, the Faster Than Life. And that was supposed to be the first single off the album, so I'm really looking forward to that. I hope it happens. I hope you all get a chance to experience that music. And I'm not really sure who did the rest of the production on there, but it's amazing. Yeah, it was fun working with By 10, and I miss him as a person. He was a real cool brother. He was deep. I don't know anybody like 10. He was definitely his own person. My favorite track right now is not one of my own. It's been my favorite track for years. It's Since I've Been Loving You by Led Zeppelin. Everything about it is just a powerful song. I can play it over and over and over. But
greatest band ever.
Yeah, I mean, I do hip hop music, but I can also recognize music in any genre that's some powerful shit. And that song right there is just, that's one of the greatest ever. It's real bluesy, and it don't sound like, it's amazing. And when the guitar solo starts, it's like, whoa. It's like, that's the kind of song when I listen to it when I'm driving, I always end up speeding.
I worked second shift when that song was popular and they were playing it on the radio and all that stuff. And I worked from 3 till 11 every night.
It really made your life a drag. I don't think that's right.
The song I remember from my childhood when I was still a doctor is the Immigrant song by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of When the Levee Breaks too. Yeah, but this Lupe Fiasco has a song called Little Weapon.
That's what I was about to ask you. I love Little Weapon. American Terrorist.
That record, Little Weapon, is just so, it's amazing.
I love
it.
That's what I've been listening to lately. That and your music, that's what I've been listening
to. A lot of times when I hear something like that, that inspires me. Like, you know, listening to somebody else's record, it kind of put me in a mood like, oh, and I want to see if I can top that. Now, I want to put me in a mood like that. I want to get that same feel for myself. I can't just go to his record for it. I guess it's kind of like an ego thing, and sometimes it's like, well, how dare you make me feel great with this music? I should be able to do that for myself. So I got to go into the studio, rub one out, so to speak.
Run away.
I got to go ahead and do it. When I'm not making music, I'm being a geek. I'm kind of like a nerd. I'm probably tinkering around with some gadget. I was a cable guy for 15 years, and so rigging something up, some type of contraption, or I'm an IT tech as well. So just doing that kind of geeky stuff, fucking around on the computer. I got buddies that want to get into recording. I'll go set up a studio at his place and teach them how to use it. That's a passion of mine. I've never charged anybody for that. If a friend of mine wants to know how to do recording, I'll go to your place. I'll build the vocal booth. We can build it together. I'll show you how it works, and you know, that kind of thing I enjoy doing. I'm always ready to teach because I'm always ready to learn. So I ask a lot of questions and I answer a lot. Shout out to State 7 Is and Journey Is. You know, shout out to the brother Les Wardell. Shout out to the homie Big Riggs. Shout out to J Bars and Bobby. Shout out to Urban Vault for contacting me to conduct this interview. You know, to be honest, I hadn't really heard of Urban Vault because you guys are across the pond, and I just don't really do much on the internet or social media. You know, not nearly as much as I should. But when you reached out, I checked out the site and I thoroughly dig it. I think it's cool. I respect what you're doing and I support it. I'm still gonna throw some singles out though. I'll put some singles along the way. There'll probably be singles that I won't put on the album, but you know, just to let people know that I'm still here. Look, you know, just to say what up, y'all. I know you're waiting on the album, but I'll throw these singles out there, you know, in the meantime, while I'm trying to perfect it and get it just right. It's not gonna happen overnight. I mean, it doesn't happen as quickly because I'm not working with a team on my music. It's like I sort of prefer to do it alone. If I need to have somebody put a verse on it, I'll have it all done, do all the production and everything, and then I'll send it to them so they can put a verse on it. Like, send it back to me so I can mix it down. You know, I'll do it like that. But it's been a long time since I've been in the studio recording with somebody else. It's been a while. I just find that I'm more productive when I'm doing it alone. It's probably better to do it alone. That's anything I do, except sex.